it up, and she beats it up, and she heats it up, and she mashes it some more, and she manages to get a little vial of elixir out of this last peach. And she gives it to Hoy, and she says, okay, so take this home to your wife. Now, the only thing is, don't drink it unless there's a clear night. Wait for a clear night. If you drink it and the night's not clear, you might get stuck halfway between earth and heaven. We all know there's nothing in between. So Hoy takes it home and guards it very carefully on the long journey, and he gets back to Chang'e and he goes, okay, wife, I have a solution for you. Peach elixir. This will get us both back to heaven. And she's very anxious to drink it. And she reaches out for it, and he says, no. There's only one thing. We have to wait until the clear night, and it's pretty cloudy right now. She really doesn't want to wait. But she also really doesn't want to get stuck halfway. So reluctantly, Chang'e says, okay, all right, fine. And he gives it to her. He says, put it in a safe place. And as soon as the night's clear, as soon as we have a clear night, I promise you we'll take it and we'll be out of here. So she puts it away, and he gathers up his hunting gear and heads out the door. And the boy goes off and does what he does best. He goes out and shoots arrows at things. And Chang'e's at home thinking about the peach elixir. Night comes and her husband doesn't come home, which isn't really unusual for hunters because they like when the moon's full, they hunt at night. And she waits and he doesn't come home, and the next day, it's into the afternoon and he still hasn't come home, and she goes over and she gets the bottle out and she looks at it. There's really not a lot of it, and she's it's looking like it's starting to lose a little bit of its color. It seemed like it was a lot more orange just a couple days before, and that can't really be a good sign. And so she takes the stopper out, and she sniffs it, and it doesn't really smell very strong. She puts the stopper back in. Now she's very concerned that maybe there's a shelf life for this elixir. And what will happen? What'll happen if it's not strong enough? It's possible, right, that even on a clear night, that if it's lost a lot of its potency and they both drink it, nobody will go anywhere. So she thinks about this a little bit more, and the husband's still not home. She looks at the sky, and it looks fairly promising. And so then Chang'e thought, you know what? I'm sure that we're missing our opportunity here. And she gets the vial back out. She looks at it again, and it's not going to hold very much longer. So probably the best thing to do is to just drink it, because once she gets to heaven, well, then she can go to the Jade Emperor, and she'll throw herself on his mercy. She will beg him to let her husband join her. And she won't have to do this by herself, because she can get all her sisters and everybody else too. So, convinced that this is a really good plan, then Chang'e drinks the elixir. And just as she drinks the last drop and the bottle falls from her hand, in walks Hoy. And what does he see but his wife floating up into the sky? And he's yelling and yelling and yelling and yelling, and he could have shot her down, but he really couldn't bring himself to do it. And off she goes. Floating, 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 floating away, 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 away. And it turns out that actually she was kind of right about the elixir, but she also really did need to wait for a clear night. And part of the way up, she gets stuck. And she's kind of hanging out there in the void. And Jade Emperor looks down and he takes a little bit of pity on her, and he plucks her out of the darkness and drops her on the moon. And that's where she is. Now, husband and wife are eternally separated, except for at the full moon. And the explanation for the brightness of the full moon is that this is the one time that they are allowed to unite. And Hoy is allowed to go up and visit his wife. Interestingly enough, Chang'e's not totally by herself. Even in this story, there's a rabbit. I don't know how he gets up there or whatever, but there is an elixir-making rabbit also. So, on Sunday, to be looking for the rabbit, be looking for the rabbit and the woman. And then if you haven't seen the old man with the bag of sticks, look for that also.